another installment of the United Way's Community Impact Series, Advancing the Common Good. My name is Katie Gallagher, and I'm the Marketing Specialist at the United Way of the Lewis and Clark area. With us today, we have Dennis Molnar. Dennis is with CASA of Lewis and Clark and Broadwater counties. Welcome, Dennis.
Thanks for having me.
So April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Last month, or 2 weeks ago actually, we had Paula Sams. She's with the Child Advocacy Center here in Helena, which is a program of AWARE that does a lot of the forensics around investigations and allegations of abuse and neglect in our community and actually across the state. So we brought you on today because we know that CASA is a voice for the children that have experienced abuse and neglect and who are in the system. So can you talk a little bit about what CASA's mission is?
Sure. CASA is court-appointed special advocates, and we are directly appointed by the court and the judge in every case where children have been taken out of homes and are put typically in foster care or kinship care and basically need a voice in the courtroom and in the community in general to make sure that their issues around safety, well-being, and permanency are being met.
And so you say kinship care, so that's when children are placed with other family members?
Correct.
Okay, and we know that there's about 2,000 children, or over 2,000 children currently in the foster care system here in the state of Montana. Is that number increasing or decreasing?
The number has been increasing every year for the last 3 years by about 30%. This year so far, we have had approximately little over 500 children already going into foster care. So we're still on a record again this year rate to be probably again at another 30 or 40% over what it was last year.
Yeah, it's only April.
Exactly.
4 months into the year. So those are statewide numbers for Montana. What are the numbers here locally in Lewis and Clark and Broadwater counties?
In Lewis and Clark and Broadwater counties, we are currently serving 185 children in care. And when I say serving them, I have 55 active volunteers who are actually trying to serve 185 children. So we're outnumbered greatly at this point, and we need obviously then the community's help to get more CASA volunteers, because we all are volunteers, and it's not that easy to be able to make the numbers work with that.
Yeah, that's more than 2 children per volunteer?
It is.
Okay, and we'll talk a little bit later about how you can get involved and how you can actually become a CASA volunteer. Great. Can you talk a little bit, so you say 30 to 40% increase, which is significant.
It is.
Part of that's probably an increase in awareness and reporting. We know that there's been efforts to increase reporting of abuse and neglect cases, but it also is, the instances of abuse and neglect are also increasing. So what are some of the reasons that we're seeing this horrible increase in our community?
Our community right now is going through a very significant increase in chemical dependency issues. Lots of methamphetamine use, lots of prescription drugs, heroin, still alcohol, weed, but there's just a major use. 60 to 70% of our cases have some kind of chemical dependency connection.
And we were talking before the show, and that is makes the situations a lot more complicated, because these are situations where often the parents have to go and receive care for significant periods of time if they are dependent on drugs like methamphetamine. Is that true?
It is, and under federal guidelines, we have 15 basically months to try to get children back into the homes with their parents. Well, if you're heavily addicted to chemical dependency issues like methamphetamine, it can take a year for that to be totally out of your system so that the Department of Child and Family Services, therapists, CASAs can even begin to work with you on issues that you may have to be able to get your children back in the home. Well, that only leaves 3 months to really make that happen, and that's just not enough time.
Yeah, that's not enough time to get those kids in a positive, long-lasting situation so they don't end up back in the system. Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you see children who are, I guess, repeats into the system?
We do, and there's a lot of, unfortunately, generational pieces within families. In some cases, we're dealing with third and fourth generation in the same family. Wow. So there's a lot of repeat piece, and it's how do we break that cycle in a family that becomes a very difficult issue to deal with.
Yeah, and the Early Childhood Coalition here in Helena, which is a group, United Way is part of it, but it's a group of about 25 local health and human service providers. Most of them are actually focused on early childhood, so 0 to 8, are doing a lot to try to break this cycle, right? Providing family services, including parenting classes and home visiting and things like that, to try to provide these support services for the family so that abuse and neglect does not happen. I know CASA has some things going on too that try to provide these family support services. So like you said, young parents, first-time parents don't feel alone. Do you want to talk at all about what CASA is doing on that side of things?
Sure. Yeah, it's difficult for young first-time parents to really, in some cases, have those skills to be able to meet the needs. Montana Trust Fund has a program dealing with Purple Cry, and especially with a lot of newborns. Very high risk for shaken babies to wind up being out there, and very difficult then for new parents, first-time parents, who haven't experienced that, to be in that situation all of a sudden and just not know what to do. There's resources available, and they need to be able to try to look at that. CASA's been actively trying to get some training programs into the high schools. So we hit those students before they get into relationships and before they start having kids. We're very much into a book piece too right now, where we really believe, and a lot of our kids, most of our kids, don't come in to foster care having or owning a book. We really are working now toward trying to use books with our CASAs to help them build relationships with the children they're working with, but also then working with the parents to develop better parenting skills with their children by using books as well. So we're trying to develop over the next 6 months or so a whole book program that we'll try to institute in Lewis and Clark and Broadwater County.
That's awesome. We know early literacy is so important to those young ones. So you mentioned the shaken babies and newborns. What ages do your CASAs work with? Is it newborn through 18, or is it toddlers? What ages are generally cared for? We
work with newborn to age 19. When youth are 18 but haven't graduated high school, they have the availability to be able to stay in the system, work with the Department of Family Services for an additional year until they're able to graduate and turn 19. And several of them choose to do that. Some choose not to, but we're allowed to continue to work with them until they age out or graduate high school.
All right, and we've talked about a lot of frankly depressing things. We're seeing 30 to 40% increases. There's over 2,000 children that are survivors of abuse and neglect. These are very depressing things, but they're real and they're happening in our community. And CASA's here to provide services to the victims of abuse and neglect. And so a little bit of hope there. You're providing a hope and a voice for these children. So we know that it's volunteer run. How do people get involved? How do people advocate for these children?
Well, they must be at least 21 years of age. If they have an interest, they can contact us at our office, and we specifically will set up then an interview and an application process. We will start doing background checks with them. There is a whole major process of that takes place. We then have a 30-hour training that they have to go through initially to really learn all the pieces of what it is to become an advocate. And then we require every year, calendar year, that they do an additional 12 hours of education and training, because this is an ongoing changing process in our communities, and we need to stay up and aware on this, especially being we have people that come from varied backgrounds. I have people who still work and they do this part-time in the evenings and weekends. I have people who are retired and do this almost as a part-time job. But they come from varied backgrounds. I have lawyers, I have teachers, I have moms who just are moms and have their own children at home. So there's no education requirement or special background that you need to have to become a child advocate.
I had an aunt actually here in town, and she was a newspaper reporter for years and years and years, and then she retired and came and volunteered with CASA, and she was talking to me, and she almost went back to graduate school to get her master's in social work to actually continue and be able to work a little bit more in the system. And so that was how powerful this experience was to her at age 60, I think, probably. So definitely from diverse backgrounds, and everybody has a skill set, I'm sure, to bring to the process.
Exactly.
And so how do folks learn more? Are these trainings weekends, nights? You know, can you hold a job and still participate in this?
Again, half of our volunteers do work. They're still employed.
Yeah.
They do a lot of work with their children in the evenings or on weekends. It requires contacting us so that we can kind of explain really more of what the expectations are as well. Because sometimes this is not the right fit for everybody to do. However, what we've kind of developed and come up with in the process has been a group of people called Friends of CASA.
Okay.
That have been people that have either partially gone through our training and realized emotionally, this is not necessarily something I'm in a place in my life right now to be able to do. Or I'd like to help, but this isn't the way, and this is not necessarily using my strengths to do it. Well, the Friends of CASA have helped us in a lot of different ways. They help us with fundraising. A group of Friends of CASA just took over our fundraiser at the end of March, and they totally ran the fundraiser this year, and we made and brought in more money than we ever have in the past.
A volunteer-run
through
event.
Totally a volunteer event.
That's great.
So they have a great way that they can assist us. They're speakers, and they go into the community and get the word out about who we are and what we do. They talk to their friends. They talk to their church groups. They get us involved with other groups of people that they know. So there's lots of ways that people can be a part of that process and still help the children, but not necessarily do the direct advocacy work.
Yeah. So one more time, how they get a hold of you?
They can contact me. We're actually located, if you know where United Way is, we're in the basement of United Way.
Yes.
By phone, they can contact me at 457-0797, or they can reach us online at www.helenacasa.org.
Great. Thank you for coming in today, Dennis, and sharing all that information with us.
Thanks for having me.